Hi, I'm Othor Ferguson of the Waldy and the Wolfpack. Today, I got myself a nice glass of whiskey, enjoying the rain from the inside, and I'm gonna have a nice little conversation with y'all about a topic that doesn't really get talked about a lot, if not at all. So, grab yourself a nice little glass of whiskey, get on to it. Oh, yeah. So, I have a question for you. Are you the chosen one? That might be a ridiculous question, but hear me out. So, have y'all ever heard of the chosen one syndrome? It gets kind of glossed over in some of the pagan and heathen spaces, right? It's usually involved of someone believing that they are chosen by the gods for something. I'll give you a quick little example. Let's say, for example, someone tells you about how they talked with Odin in a meditation. Old John Doe was talking to Odin. Odin told him, "Hey, John Doe, build me a hoff. Right? I choose you to build a hoff." Now, that's a pretty generalized example, but however, that's kind of the most likely. Now, did this not happen? I'm sure it did. But the thing is, too, is John Doe is not the only guy that Odin talked to about say, "Hey, build me one of them hoffs. That'd be really cool." Right? Now, okay, I know I'm making it a little silly and all, but it's actually something we should really talk about. Is something of an inflated ego when we contact the gods or when the gods talk to us. It should be understand that yes, they may have been told to build Hoff, whatever, but they have also told a myriad of other people. How the gods work is they'll talk to people, they'll talk to us mere mortals, to ask them to do something. And if we don't do it or we can't do it, they'll just move on to the next person. And so on and so forth until it gets done. But that's a pretty tame example of chosen one, right? Could this inflate someone's ego? Absolutely. I've seen it. Believe me. But there's kind of another way. It's a little more malicious, I would say. Let's take a time back to whenever you just discovered paganism, heathenry, Hellenism, and you didn't really give it a name yet. And you're kind of just awkward turtling in the spiritual world and the physical world of like just making sense of everything. And you're still trying to figure out how the spiritual world works. And then what tends to happen is someone kind of says, "You're the chosen one." And it's not always so direct like that. Usually what happens is they kind of take your palm real quick and they kind of do a little palm ring and say, "Oh, Ares is contacting you. Odin is contacting you. The Morgan is contacting you," right? That's usually how that happens. And that could kind of give someone, "You've been chosen" kind of deal. And that's what they'll use those words too. It's, "You've been chosen." By the way, you're not. So, what is happening exactly? So, going back to the days of you, me, and everybody else who were just trying to figure out paganism and heathenry. And what happens is, whenever you're just awkward turtling in the spiritual world, or just physical world mainly, and you're trying to figure things out, you're kind of attracting things, other pantheon deities and deities that you may be familiar with or even unfamiliar with, and they're trying to, best way to describe it is kind of recruit you like a military office, right? You know, probably set going, "Hey man, you ever heard of Egyptian mythology?" Or Odin being, "Hey, you ever heard of Norse mythology?" It's they're gonna try to get you to their side, right? Whenever you're a blank slate, your world is open to many possibilities. So it is not unheard of for you being contacted by multiple deities. Now, we are mere mortals, but the gods do want us to do stuff for them. So they kind of want to, bring us along. But what is not happening, right, is you're not getting no King Arthur quest, if you will. You're not going to pull the sword of England and become the King of England or whatever. That's not what's happening. But what happens though is when someone does the whole thing like that and says assigns you deities, that is a form of manipulation, and they will use terms like "you've been chosen" or "you're chosen one" kind of deal. So there's another side of this chosen one. In one aspect, it's an inflated ego. It says an inflated ego, however, it's caused by somebody else. What tends to happen is, as they are shining you gods and goddesses, they're trying to build you up into something, but then eventually they're trying to insert something of a control towards you. Ask me how I know this one. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story, right? How I got into heathenry as I know it now. Is This was over 10 years ago, and one of my buddies passed on. Unfortunately, I was there in person. Wasn't exactly in the best place. Think of it as drunk, awkward turtle, just all over the place. As tragedy once leaves many people. Unfortunately, when you're like that, you attract some of the wrong people in your life. Some people who want to take advantage of the situation that you're in. Some people who, and spiritually speaking, you're probably not, and I'm speaking to myself, spiritually speaking, I was not exactly wanting to go to Christianity or the church or anything like that, but they want to take advantage of you because you're vulnerable. No one talks about how vulnerable people are, new pagans and heathens and other mythologies. No one talks about how vulnerable they really are to other people who know just enough to persuade people. And that's kind of what happened. I got assigned gods and goddesses because, again, I didn't know any better. But eventually I left that state. And then I went to Alaska and I met the right people. And they educated me. They educated me on how you actually find your path. And I did find my path. One thing we don't talk about is, in the grand scheme of heathenry and paganism, is predatory paganism. All religions of faith have individuals that do prey upon a weaker individual, or and that's not necessarily physically either. Spiritually, emotionally, um, subconsciously weak individuals because, again, they're just not in the right headspace. We need to be the kind of people that actually stray people to the right path. Once you start seeing people saying, like, oh, they're chosen ones, or hey, this guy's talking through me to you kind of deal. Once they start trying to become a little middleman in your faith and stuff, that's when the predatoriness actually starts happening. Or it's actually been happening. But that is one thing that we could actually work on, is being there for people who actually might be a victim of those kind of tales. So, whenever you hear someone say they're the chosen one, do they have a self-inflated ego? I mean, they probably do. Or could they possibly be a victim of something else? Have they been taught and led astray to things that don't make sense, or let alone are being controlled somehow? Are you the chosen one? I'm telling you right now, you're not. But cheers, Andy.